You know what time it is. 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 Hey guys, and welcome to Little Blackbird 91. We're really having a quick half an hour or so conversation just about conflict resolution and this topic. Men don't know how to communicate. Men don't know how to communicate. Okay, and so this is a really interesting conversation because like I said, I've been reading some books and just reading some important things that have made some really big sense. So I want to kind of bring a little bit of what I've learned to you guys as well as an audience, and hopefully this will be able to help you guys as well in your communications with men and women going forward. If you're new to the channel, then make sure you do me a massive favor: like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Stay hydrated because streets out there are hot. All right, cool. Let's talk a little bit about this. This conversation is men don't know how to communicate, and this is on the back of the last live I just had with Latarius Whitfield from Dear Wifey. And so I want to talk about this. Men don't know how to communicate, and I want to say this: like, many women will tell me, or at least many women will voice out their frustrations with dealing with men. All right, and some have an absolute right, and they've been through things and seen things, and they try to get the man to communicate, but nothing seems to work. Okay, so there are genuine cases, and there's a lot of them, where men tend not to communicate very well at all. Or at least they don't provide any information that will provide understanding in the conversation. So I want to talk a little bit about this. Men don't know how to communicate. First and foremost, there's some important things when it comes to conflict that must be understood. And one of those things is the arousal state, okay? The arousal state. Let me put that across my screen. The arousal state. And what the arousal state says is basically when you're heightened, when you're frustrated, angry, you're highly emotional in that moment, this is probably not going to be the best time to be able to voice appropriately how you feel. In the midst of an arousal state, meaning when you're heightened in your emotions, it's going to be very difficult to hear and to correspond correctly in the manner that you feel like. Many of us have been in that situation where you're in a moment, you're angry, you're frustrated, and you want a result in that moment from a conversation or a conflict with somebody else, and what comes back is even more infuriating. And the reason being is because oftentimes we're in a high arousal state, meaning highly emotional situation where we are feeling it, we're feeling heightened senses of emotion, and it becomes very difficult then to, one, explain our side without making it highly emotive as well, and without putting blame or putting or making the message too spiky so the person can feel it. You know what I mean? Like, when you're in that space, it can be very difficult to really be able to deliver the message appropriately without swords being attached to it. And thus also at the same time, the person listening, if they're in a high arousal state, this is going to cause them also to be very defensive when they're hearing key information that may pertain to them or their behavior. That person now will become what we call defensive. So high arousal states are a problem for conflict, or should I say they are the sweet spot for conflict. If you want to be able to communicate with your partner, you need to take the arousal state out of play. Okay, I'm not saying that there's not going to be times where you're not having a conversation when you're highly emotional, highly aroused in terms of your emotional state. Those things are going to happen. But we got to start learning how to be better at being able to, if we're feeling like we're highly emotional in that moment and dealing with a complex set of emotions in that moment, it may not be the best place to now discuss how you're feeling about a situation. Rather, it might be better to write down how you feel, to voice note how you feel, to speak out loud how you feel to yourself as a way to take the emotional arousal state out and be able to talk to that person in a space where you've calmed down. Because when you're at a more level playing field in terms of your emotions and even kill, you're able to deliver the message in a way that also thinks about the other person. Because what happens in a highly arousal state is that when you're feeling that rise of emotion, it can become about me, and me. And you forget the other person is on the other side. Now, the other person could be hella wrong. They could be all types of wrong. But seemingly, just because you're in that emotional state, you can also stop listening to what they're trying to respond back to you with as well. And so you don't want to be in this arousal state when you're addressing very important, painful, emotional, deep, close to the heart kind of situations. That's not the best time to now discuss it. Within that arousal state as well, one of the ways to kind of calm any conflict down in terms of reducing some of the emotions that are flying about is to also change dynamics in terms of environment. And I think I've said this before previously. I didn't realize this was a real thing, but I just did it because that's what I thought was wise. But when I was reading about it, it's like sit the person down. Sit the person down. Yeah, because what you don't want is a stand up, because standing up it shows an air of aggression, but not necessarily all the way through. But what I mean in the sense of it can come across as being aggressive, and quickly things can become very animated very quickly when you stand up. Right? You know, if you're sitting down, someone stands up, all of a sudden everybody's on high alert. So when you're having these kind of discussions, arousal state, then the environment and also the playing field in terms of levels, sorry, I should say, environment and levels needs to be changed. So if we're standing up, this might not be the time to do it. You might need to sit the person down, which is why when you're telling your friends, you say, girl, you need to sit down. Sometimes my boys say, bro, I hope you're sitting, bro. This is mad. And obviously, yeah, part of it is being, funny and humorous. You don't want to, because you might faint or whatever, but also as well because it changes the way you're able to receive the information. When you're sitting down, you tend to take the aggression and the emotion out of, the scenario. You tend to reduce that particular aspect of you. So, the arousal state, the environment and the level change is really important to help kind of breed an arena where we're going to get some good conversation going. Then, the next part to look at here, and this is for men and for women, but since we're talking about men don't know how to communicate as well, one of the things is a major thing is for us as men, especially, this is specifically more for men, invalidating feelings. This is really crucial. Invalidating feelings. I didn't realize, I thought I was very good at holding people's space for feelings and stuff like that. But I can also have a tendency to validate feelings. I can also have a tendency to validate feelings, and I don't even realize I'm doing it, because in my head all I'm thinking is, I really can't bother to deal with you. I really cannot. So I'm gonna say whatever I need to say to get out of here. So some of the terms that have been said on invalidating feelings are: I'm sure it wasn't that bad. You're probably oversensitive. You probably took it too personally. You'll get over it. Just let it go. You're a strong person. It could be worse. God doesn't give you more than you can handle. Everything happens for a reason. I know exactly how you feel. You shouldn't be angry. Don't be sad. You make a big deal out of everything. That didn't happen. Stop making things up. You're overreacting. You're probably misunderstood. See, some of the ways of how we can, in some form, invalidate somebody's feelings, right? We've all been there. You've all said, I'm sure it wasn't that bad, right? I'm sure it wasn't that bad. And it's because we feel like sometimes we're going to baby the person, or we're going to, coddle that person. So when we say it's not that bad, it's a way of, I don't want to cuddle him, so I'm not going to say it's not bad. You know what I'm saying? You probably took it too personally. And listen, let's be honest. Everybody's level is different. Let's be very honest. There's gonna be times where my level of what I feel is okay is gonna be different to yours, right? But this is where awareness. This is where you take into stock and understand where if you know somebody and you know them well and you know what they're about and you know their history, you shouldn't be invalidating their feelings. And like I said, I've done it myself, and I'm starting to realize, whoa, I didn't realize I was doing that to some people. You know what I mean? So again, invalidating feelings, one of the ways to do this. So it's important to note that validation, saying that someone's feelings are acceptable or worthwhile, is not the same as agreeing with their feelings. Let's just sit with that for a second or two, because I love this. This is something that I learned when I was reading the book. It says, it's important to note that validation, saying that somebody's feelings are acceptable or worthwhile, is not the same as agreeing with their feelings. And I think this is where a lot of conflict happens between not only men and women, and not just how we communicate, but I think even same sex sometimes, right? How we can feel invalidated by our parents, by our brothers, our sisters, our uncles, our cousins, our school teachers. We can be invalidated at any given moment by somebody who doesn't have the aptitude or the awareness in that moment to give an appropriate answer, right? So listen to this. Validation, it is important to know that emotional validation isn't the same. Emotional validation, saying that somebody's feelings are acceptable or worthwhile, isn't the same as agreeing to their feelings. Let me just put that on the screen so it can actually be seen. I think it's always helpful when you can see it on your screen as well. So let me just take that down. So invalidating feelings, let's just put this, right? Okay, fantastic. So invalidating feelings. Validation, saying that someone's feelings are acceptable or worthwhile, isn't the same as agreeing with their feelings. And I think this is where a lot of times frustration comes in. Okay, right? Frustration comes in, because what happens is people don't acknowledge your feelings or your emotions. So going back to that list again, where the person is saying, it wasn't that bad, or it could be worse, or I know how you feel, or you shouldn't be angry, don't be sad. Yeah, that is invalidating the person's emotions. Love that, JR. Thank you. I'll use that later as well, JR. That can be invalidating a person's emotions. Just accepting and saying it's worthwhile, saying, you know what, I can understand why you feel that way. Tell me more. Okay, maybe I don't. Maybe you don't even understand. Maybe I don't understand. Can you tell me a bit more so I can understand, right? So, it's a way of being able to accept that their feelings are worthwhile. Does not mean I agree with it. And I think the last part where it says I agree with it is where the fight happens, because if I say, oh, I understand where you're coming from, it means I agree with it. No. If I understand where you're coming from, does not mean I agree all. It just means I have enough empathy and enough aptitude of awareness to say, I can actually see where you're coming from. I can understand why you may be even frustrated and angry in this moment, right? I can see why, I can see why you got to that place. I can see how it's worked out in your head, how it makes sense here. I can see that, I think for me, looking from perspective, from my perspective, I acknowledge first and foremost your feelings, and I think that they're true, and you should be allowed to have those. And I think for me, at my point of view, when I'm looking at it, I went through X, Y, and Z, and I felt like this was my thing as well, right? So I don't have to agree with your feelings. I don't have to agree with the feelings that your feelings are true. What that means is, it doesn't mean that your feelings are the truth. You can have feelings, doesn't mean it's the actual truth. That's your feelings. Doesn't make it true for the scenario for both of us. That's what you've perceived, that's what you've received, that's what you felt as your truth from your corner, but it doesn't cover mine. Yeah? Okay? And that's where the fight usually happens. Yes, Lisa. That's where the fight usually happens. Okay? We have fights there, all right? Okay, cool. All right, so let's okay, so it says here we can certainly feel differently, but make the effort to try and understand and empathize with our loved one's feelings. Common form of invalidation is when someone tries to cheer you up when you're sad because they feel uncomfortable with your feelings. I love this point, because I think we all do this. We've all been there, Christians especially. You know what I mean? We definitely be invalidating feelings. Christians know how to invalidate feelings better than anybody else, I think. You know what I mean? Let me just add that, and I'll add the word. So listen, a common form of invalidation is when someone tries to cheer you up when you're sad because they feel uncomfortable with your feelings. I think that's a key part. It's the fact that you feel uncomfortable, right? Uncomfortable. Yeah? Uncomfortable. So in this point here, when you feel uncomfortable with their feelings, you try to change theirs. That's where it becomes invalidating, right? Because your feelings are being, it's meant to be dismissed, right? Dismissed. Okay. Someone said a comment about this. Let's say Lulu Bird said, but people are looking for the agreement oftentimes more than just acknowledgement, especially when it's not about feelings. And this is where, and this is specifically for couples especially as well, there are going to be times where, you know what, and this is why each individual person, first and foremost, must self-validate. Okay? Every individual must self-validate, which means tell yourself you're allowed to feel what you feel. And in amongst that, whilst I'm allowed to feel what I feel, there's also room for other people to have feelings too. Right? Self-validating says, right? Self-validating says, first and foremost, I'm allowed to have feelings towards a scenario. But I also have room to accept that people have other feelings too. Right? That's the truth. So you have to be able to be open for both, from both sides. If you're feeling that, you know what, if you feel like this is what you feel, yeah, and you're also open to the fact that other people have a different feeling. Now, what we might be talking about, maybe a feeling situation, or it may be a fact situation, depending on how we look at it, right? Okay, all right. Now, if you ate my, let's say you ate my last meal. I had a banging chicken and rice in the fridge. I come home from work and I find that you've eaten the rice and the chicken, right? What some people will do is, I'm angry and I'm frustrated, and the person will be like, I don't know why you're so vexed. It's just a meal. That right there is what we're talking about, invalidating the emotion. You can see that I'm vexed. And you can see that the reason why I'm vexed is because you ate my food. And then you decide to invalidate my feeling. Right? You decide not to invalidate my feeling at that moment by telling me, oh, it's just food. If it was just food, you would have been able to leave it, but it wasn't. It was banging food, first and foremost. Number two, you didn't want to validate my feelings in that moment. You wanted to minimalize it in that moment. And that is, first of all, painful, and two, that causes a lot more beef in the relationships with people. Right? That causes so much more. You telling me you couldn't understand why I'm angry? You telling me you can't understand why I'm vexed? You can't understand why I'm hurt, I'm disappointed? Right? You see what I'm saying? So validating is a very important tool to solve a lot of the arguments that tend to happen as well. Next thing is also talking about jumping to conclusions. This is very hard, and I know this one because this is difficult. Jumping to conclusions, okay? We think we already know the answer. We think we know why they did what they did. So we jump to conclusions. We don't know why. We don't ask why. We don't ask why they did what they did, how it came about. We don't care. That's going to cause an argument, right? Because again, like I said, without understanding, there's a lack of empathy. You don't care. Yeah, you told yourself, I don't care what it is. Okay, all right? I'm just going to jump to conclusions. I'm going to say my piece. I'm not even going to ask why they did what they did. They're just going to get blazed from me. And what can happen is actually in that blaze, in that high arousal state, what can happen is you can say some things that can't be taken back. Right? Jumping to conclusions before trying to ask why is it they did what they did does more damage oftentimes because we're living in our emotion in that moment. So asking that one extra step of a question rather than jumping to conclusions, so I know exactly why you did what you did. And we all do this, by the way, and I do it a lot. I'm like, I know why you did what you did. I already know why you did what you did. I already know. I know exactly why you did X, Y, and Z. I know. And I'm waiting for you to admit what I know that you know. But I'm kind of jumping to conclusions. I haven't asked you what is it that the reason why X, Y, Z happened. Yeah? I haven't asked you. That's why you got to ask that extra question. Why? Why was it for you this way? Or why did you see it this way? Why did you feel like this was the most appropriate action to take? Ask that extra question, right? Cool. And then obviously, again, people not creating a safe zone. I know you guys hate that word. Creating a safe zone. A safe zone to be able to discuss how you feel. This is for both parties as well, again, in communication. Creating a safe zone, right? This helps both parties. When it's a safe zone, it means I as a man can talk, you as a woman can talk. In the safe zone, you're not trying to break me down, you're trying to understand me. In the safe zone, we are appropriate with the timing in terms of who talks at what point. And we are appreciative when a person does speak. We pay attention. We spend our time in the present, not elsewhere. Not focus on other things. We create a safe zone where you can actually express yourself without condemnation. I can express myself without condemnation. You may have a different thought. I may be even wrong, but there's no condemnation. There is a disagreement. There is a you saying maybe I don't like this or X, Y, Z, but there isn't a condemnation, right? You know what I'm saying? So this is also really, really important as well, right? Really, really important when it comes to disagreements and conflicts as well. Creating that safe zone. When people start feeling afraid or vulnerable, that's when things go downhill. When we're feeling afraid and vulnerable, people tend to shy away. People tend to run away. People tend to move away. People tend to go away. They don't want to be in the scenario where they feel like their vulnerability is going to be laughed at, mocked, abused, used. You know what I mean? They don't ever feel like they're going to have that action in their face. They don't ever feel like that's what you're going to do. It should be and you guys know this, you know safe zones, you know the no judgment zones. You've been in one. You got female friends, you got male friends who do the exact same thing. So like again, the safe zone is really, really important, it's important to be able to have that kind of discussion as well. Nowadays, people feel you are condemning them if you disagree with them. Yeah, let me give you an example of a situation that happened to me years ago as a kid. It's so funny. I was looking at my Facebook and I saw it and I said, "Oh my gosh!" Like this example. So what had happened to me? This is, and I wish I had language then. I didn't, but you learn. So years ago, there was a situation that happened at school, and I had a girlfriend at the time. And what happened was, one of the guys we were playing football with my year, his little brother kicked a football over the roof or whatever, or kicked it over the building, right? We're playing football and one of the guy's little brother kicked the ball over. So I grabbed him, and I tripped him up and I threw him to the floor. Yeah? I tripped him up and put him to the floor. Nothing crazy, head didn't hit the floor, nothing like that. It wasn't a forceful takedown. It's a little kick, you know how you kick him up, trip him up and put him down. That's what I did, yeah? Didn't even throw him hard, nothing like that. Get back into sixth form, get back into class or whatever I should say even. And the older brother's getting vexed at me, wants to fight me, blah, blah, blah. And I remember I was in the toilet at the time, wants to fight me, getting all angry, saying, "What did you do to my brother?" I said, "I tripped him up. What do you want me to say?" Okay, the little boy kicked the ball over when he had no business being in our football game. Why did he do that for? He thought it was being funny. It's not funny to me. Don't kick my ball over. Kick someone else's ball over. Don't kick mine. You know what I'm saying? Go to your other friends and do that. That's what I was telling him, right? Okay, cool. So I've got bare people in my ear like, "You shouldn't have done that, coach. Why did you trip up the little boy, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Well, listen, where I'm from, yeah, little boys like that, you can't come in, you can't, a little boy like that, yeah, don't come in there and just get grown up, come and get grown boys football and kick it over the fence. You don't do that. You don't do that. No, fam. That tells me you have no respect for your elders, bro. You have no respect for the people that are older than you, because I would never dare unless I'm asking for a thumping. Do you understand? So I'm trying to explain my side of things, wherever, yeah. And so now I have a conversation. Now my girlfriend at the time, because basically I went into the office and they're about to, listen, let me tell you something. Karen tears are real. Karen tears are so freaking real. I get to the office and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we could have called the police." I said, "You could have called the police. You'd have wasted police time for me tripping him up to call it assault." I said, "Are you nuts? People have fights in the playground and don't get called police for." I said, "What kind of nonsense is that? Is that because I'm black? Is that why we're calling police? Because he's a white kid and I'm black?" Clearly, because that don't make no sense. Why would you call police to come and deal with me because I tripped him up in the playground after kicked our football over? Why would you call police? Why would police want to waste their time with school antics? Why are you even threatening me with that? Now, I wish I had thought about that at the time. I didn't even realize how racist that really was. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think it's racist. I'm going to be honest with you. I think those teachers are racist and they know exactly who they are, okay, with a hard R, okay? The Karen tears are real, yeah? Because it makes no sense. I tripped somebody up and they're like, you could have gone to a thing. The boy wasn't hurt. The boy didn't go to hospital. The boy never had nothing wrong with him. Bruv, no bruises, nothing. Bruv, all that happened was I tripped you, and when I tripped you, I even guided you down. You understand? I didn't trip you up on your head hit the ground. I didn't do none of that kind of nonsense. You understand? So I'm confused as to why you're telling me now, I'm sitting in the office, and you're telling me this nonsense, trying to scare me into something, right? So they was like, well, you need to apologize. I was like, apologize? I'm not apologizing for nothing, Kez. Yeah, no. I'm not apologizing for nothing. I tell them, listen, I'm not apologizing for anything. You don't come in here and kick my ball over and there going to be no consequences. Go and talk to him. You know what I'm saying? All right, we'll have to deal with this later on. It's going to come back. I said, all right, cool, isn't it? It's what it is. Like, if that's what you want to do, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But as for me, I'm not apologizing because I don't think I'm wrong. You understand? All right, cool. So then, obviously now, my missus at the time, I'm in the toilet at this moment, and I'm getting bare of my own year coming up to me saying, Kojo, you should apologize, da. Rare. I said, why are you not gathering pitchforks to come in front of me when I'm taking a piss, first of all, when I've come out of here, taking the number one, and then you're coming to tell me you want me to apologize to the kid for what? Is he dead? Has he got a broken body? Has he got broken fingers? Is he bruised? Like, there is nothing for me to apologize over. Yeah, I don't think I have to apologize for anything. What am I apologizing for? I don't think I did anything wrong. Yeah, I'm not apologizing for nothing. So you guys can gather your Avengers in my year and stand in front of the toilet. I'm not apologizing for nothing. Yeah? Cool. So then obviously my missus comes out and then she's like, just apologize to them. I said to her, no. I'm not gonna bend to their will because they want me to apologize. Because when the little kid gets to do whatever he wants to do, when we retaliate, suddenly we're gonna be in trouble for it. What? A little trip. Is he broken? Did he cry? He didn't even cry. Nothing like that. He wasn't even vex. It's just the fact that older brother saw it. I said to her, listen. At the end of the day, when they were watching him go to kick the ball over, nobody went to say anything to him. But when I'm tripping him up, you lot are getting vexed. Yeah, I come from the hard school of knocks. So where I'm from, these what I did to him was even calm. He's lucky. If it had been elders that I knew, they would have slapped the back of your head. You know what I'm saying? They would have come and slapped the back of your head and beaten you up a little bit. Do you think you would have got away with that? You would have been decimated. You would never get away with that in our school. But I had moved to an all-white school now, so completely different. Do you know what I mean? So now, obviously, obviously my girlfriend's obviously saying to me, look, Elle said the brother should have thumped me. He tried to, and I said, I will bang you if you try. I will bang you as well. The older brother's in the same year as me. That's what I'm saying. He's in the same year below me even, right? And, so obviously he wanted to. And I said, listen, try it and I will bang you. I don't care. I don't mind. I'm ready to go. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to go. Are you sure you want this? Because I'm ready for the smoke. You understand? I'm ready for the smoke. I've calculated the risk. If we go toe to toe, you're done. I'm not punching you. I'm picking you up and I'm dropping you like a baby and a child. I'm not here. I don't throw punches when I fight. That's why I don't fight. Because I'm picking you up, throwing you somewhere. Picking you up, dashing you somewhere. Like, I'm doing ultimate damage. I'm not trying to punch. You know what I'm saying? So, of course now, obviously, Mrs. obviously talking to me saying, just apologize. And I got so vexed. I remember I got so vexed. I was like, so you haven't heard my side. You don't know what my side of the story is. And you're automatically asking me to apologize and just like that. I said, how about having a conversation with me first? right? How about a conversation with me first, right? How about you talk to me first and understand my side of things first, yeah? Then you can talk to me about apologizing, right? And let me tell you this turned into a 3-day argument between me and my girl, you know. At the time, it was a 3-day argument about this apology thing. And I said, I'm not apologizing, right? I'm not apologizing. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And I remember at the time, one of our conversations that we had, all I wanted her to do actually was to be like, look, I actually understand where you're coming from. You know, I didn't need her to agree with me. I know that, listen, if you call it the bigger picture, I'm wrong, right? If you want to call it the bigger picture, you can say that I'm wrong, right? All right, cool. Yeah. But all I actually wanted was you to just validate what I had been going at that moment. I was like, listen, the boy kicked our ball over, you know what I'm saying? And just to teach him a little lesson, I tripped him up, put him on the floor, it's done. I didn't punch him, I didn't do anything like that. Do you know what I mean? I was frustrated at the moment because we were playing ball, we might have been losing or whatever, I don't know, whatever. And I just got annoyed at the fact this little kid, and I think he had done it once already, and they let him get away with it. And I was like, you're just taking a piss. Like, so then the second time I was like, no, you're not doing it again. Like, blood, you're getting tripped up. And next time you do that, it's long for you. Do you see what I'm saying? So for me, I was just like, so when we were having our argument, all I really wanted to hear was, listen, coach, I actually understand where you're coming from. Because now I had the whole world against me. I had teachers against me. I had my year against me. I had a brother against me. And now you're against me as well, because that's how it feels. I'm not saying to you, I wasn't looking for her to agree with what I did. I was looking for acknowledgement of how maybe I felt in that moment. You know what I'm saying? Right? I definitely could have said sorry. Definitely could have said sorry. I ain't saying it though. I wasn't saying it. And I still don't say it now, nigga. No, Jay. You know what I mean? Right? And so for me, I was just like, you know what? Like, nobody came to me and said, Joe, I understand what you're saying, coach. Like, I understand how you're feeling in that moment. Everyone just expected me to just apologize. And most of the people weren't even there. So they don't know nothing that happened. All they know is the brother came and told them I tripped up their brother. Right? And I said, and then it was like, for me, it was like, my thing was this. Wait, hold on a minute. What was dangerous? First and foremost, he kicked the ball over. I tripped him up. What's the big deal? Because in my head, I'm thinking to myself, I didn't trip him up and he hit his head or anything. I didn't trip him up. Even when I tripped him up, I guided him down. You understand? I even guided him down. You understand? So for me, it was like, wait, what's really the big deal here? Like, what's the big deal? If you're saying to me that him kicking the ball over is not a big deal, I'm saying to you, when I guided him down, yeah, if I guided him down, then me too. It's not a big deal. What's the big deal here? You feel what I'm saying? Oh, you can't put your hands on somebody. Okay. If you're saying that, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I still ain't apologizing. I was stubborn. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was stubborn. I was real stubborn. But in our 3, we had a 3-day battle about this. A 3-day battle because she was like, and then what happened is, what happened was this, and this is where I flipped, right? This is where I flipped. She then turned it on to me by saying, I'm gonna see you differently if you don't apologize. I said, really? So you're gonna see me differently because I don't apologize? I see you. Okay. I see you now. All right, cool. I see you. All right, I see you. I see you now. Yeah, I see you now. Thank you for saying that. Now I see you. I blew the gasket at that point. I said, I was like, are you nuts? What are you talking about? You're going to see me differently because I didn't want to apologize, but you haven't backed my side. It was a massive argument. You know, when you raise your voice, it was just ra, ra, ra. It was rat-a-tat everywhere, right? If I had been more mature, I could have been able to explain why I was so frustrated with her, right? I know because listen, I also understand where she's coming from. She's like, listen, you can save a whole lot of this situation, right? You can save a whole lot of the situation by just apologizing. In my head, I'm like, if I apologize and just apologize, then these people have also invalidated how I felt in that moment, right? What am I apologizing for? It wasn't a deep thing, wasn't a big thing. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm getting people telling me they're going to get police on my back for what, tripping up somebody. Do you know how mad that is for white people to tell a black kid in a school with full of white folk that they're going to get the police on him just because they tripped him? And I keep telling you, the trip was not even like I forward tripped him. It was a back trip and I guided you down. So for me, in my head now, I'm like, no, this is blown up bigger than what it was before. And you're telling me you want to tell me you're going to see me differently in that moment. Now, of course, listen, she's going through her own thing. She's seeing things in her own particular light. And we're all young at this point. We're very, very young. So I get it, right? You know, so, but I'm vexed at this moment. And I remember when I finally calmed down, I remember I first and foremost felt like this. First and foremost, in public, how I felt, and this is me, and this I always tell women, I always tell people this as well, especially women. I said to this, look, in public, pull me aside. If I'm even mad, pull me aside. Don't correct me in front of other people because it just looks mad. It just looks mad. Even me, I don't correct my girl in front of other people. I would like, babe, let's just quickly babe, I think you're a bit mad. Just chill. I don't do that. I don't pull my partner up in front of other people. Like, I don't want to give you guys the opportunity to think you can pull her up in that space. It's only me and her. You understand? So if I don't do it, I don't expect to be pulled up in front of other people. And that's one of the first things that vexed me. And then the second thing, and then obviously asked me to apologize. It was just like, okay, now you're making me look like a dickhead because now you're telling, you know, and part of it is pride as well. So you have to be honest as well. Part of it is pride. It's like, what? Like, so you just gonna just agree? You're just going to agree with them? And you didn't even, at that point, I hadn't even explained myself to her. So it was like, I just felt like, I'm unprotected here. And I remember that feeling of being unprotected here. And I said, and that's where the frustration kicked in. So now you realize there's so many different components happening in an argument that happened in that one moment. And I'm not even just blaming her because also, remember, she's also having her own influences of her own experiences, her own background as to why she's reacting the way she's reacting. And so now I'm reacting based on what she's reacting on, and there's a collision. But nobody decided to ask the extra question, which was, so why do you feel the way you do? Everyone was just trying to win. That argument between me and her, we were just trying to win. I wanted to be heard. I wanted to be seen. I wanted you to agree with me. I wanted you to see what I was seeing. And she could still say I was wrong. But she could have validated my feelings by saying, listen, babe, I actually understand where you're coming from. I know that is probably frustrating for you and you've gone through that. No, instead, all I got was, you know what? You just need to apologize. And if you don't, I'm going to see you differently. Right? But now but then you realize this is what happens to couples all the time. I'm not even just blaming her. I'm just giving an example of my own experience, but I don't even blame her because, again, both parties had something that they were dealing with in terms of their experiences in the past. That means when they come together, they can trigger one another, right? So it's important first and foremost really to ask everybody, first and foremost, the extra question. Why? You know, why is it that you feel, what is it? I'm like trying to understand the person, you know, you're angry. Okay, I can see that you're angry. You know, what seems to be the matter? You know, tell me from your experience what happened. You know, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. You know, explain it to me. And you can still say, hey, look, I now I see what you're saying and I can actually understand why you're so angry as well. What I would say is that, you know what, whilst you're also angry, I also believe as well in that situation, unfortunately, you are wrong. You know, I can still be wrong. And you know what, I would have taken it because at least I would have known in that moment she had my back. You know what I mean? But I was already pissed off because already she did the thing earlier on in the public. But this is just how easy arguments can happen between two people so quickly. You know, how you're feeling, what you're going through that moment, you know, arousal states instantly can take it, you know, to another level. So if you're having arguments with your partner, just slow down the pace a little bit and ask yourself the key question. Do I understand why they're feeling the way they're feeling? Do I know why they are doing what they're doing? Do I know why they feel the way they do? Maybe it's an extra question I need to ask them, and so I can get a better understanding. If I can't regurgitate what you're saying and what you're feeling, I don't know your situation enough. right? I don't know your situation. If I can't tell you why you felt the way you felt, why you felt the way you felt back to you, it means I also wasn't. I also wasn't paying attention enough to what you're actually saying. So yeah, this is real stuff. Communication errors and stuff like this happen all the time, and arguments happen all the time. But it's important that we first and foremost try to understand one another. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there, guys. I'll leave it there. I appreciate you guys spending 40 minutes with myself. This is good stuff to just kind of talk about. But as I get more Jay, I hear you. As I get more understanding about this topic, because this book I'm reading is really powerful. Once I get more, I will give you guys more as well, so that you guys can also get the free gems. Um, you know. Jay's gonna be in trouble with me. I know, I know, I know. But listen, it's been amazing, guys. We appreciate you. Stay locked, stay loaded, and we might be back. We'll be back a little bit later on, maybe. Definitely with Sean from Ready to Love. I think last 2 seasons ago. This is also true as well, Lulu. This is also true. The inner child, absolutely, absolutely. You know. But listen, thank you. I appreciate you guys again once more. Thank you, Jay, as well for that. Like this video as well, guys. There's 115 you guys. Like the video, share it with somebody else. Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Stay locked and stay loaded. We'll see you again very, very soon. Much love. My God.